Hey, welcome back to another episode of Ready 22's Talk 22, the show hosted by me, your boy Mizzle Jizzle. We back yet again, bringing you the conversations that you want to talk about, and we bring you to you with nothing but the real. So I appreciate everybody that came, visit our conversation we had last time. We appreciate all of our listeners as we always do. And more and more you guys tune in. We appreciate you. We're over 30 episodes now, and we appreciate all of our listeners. Please, keep sending the comments, keep sending the love, hitting that like and share button as much as you can. We appreciate all our listeners from Radio 22. But we're gonna move into the conversation today. Today as I was looking over the internet this past week, I guess, we kind of saw that there was a situation that brewed, and that situation that we kind of saw was there was a conversation with the number one podcast in all of America, wasn't there? That conversation being from the homie Joe Budden and his podcast, the Joe Budden podcast. And in that situation, we saw that, there's a group of friends there that had this this podcast that they had, and it was definitely drawing all kind of eyes, but within there, the business kind of didn't mesh well, and people got into their feelings, and from there, we want to know, friendship in business, is that like just a no-no? So, we're going to talk more about that. And in that conversation, I brought our heavy hitters, like I always do. And from the Milwaukee area, I got the homie Alan. Alan, can you say what's up to the people?
What's going on, everybody? It's Alan from Breaking and Entering, breakingandentering.net. We run Breaking and Entering Radio here on Radio 22, and thank you for having me on.
We appreciate you for joining the show, Alan. As well, on the line from the Milwaukee area, we got the homie Converse on the line. Icon, you say what's up to the people, please.
What's going on, everybody? I'm Converse, owner of Studio 4117. Can't wait to get the show started.
We appreciate you coming back, Icon. He's been on the show before as well. And last but not least, we got the homie Frank Forbes on the line. Frank, can you say what's up to the people, please?
What's going on, y'all, man? It's your boy Frank Forbes. You know what I'm saying? I'm a producer, and man, let's get the show rocking. Let's go. Let's go.
Good. We appreciate you joining the show as well, Frank. Okay, so we're gonna just dip right into it. From what we've seen, there was a lot of challenges in this situation. We all know that the draw is Joe Budden. We all know that. We don't know these other two, right? We don't know them like that. But everybody knows Joe Budden. We do know he's a draw. We know he's the one that started the show. We know that it all comes through him. But my question to the panel is, do you think it's a good idea to get into business with your friends or family? I'm going to start with you, Frank.
It depends on the person. If you ask me, you know what I'm saying? Like, I got some friends I would definitely do business with because they a good character. Like Verse, on one hand, I would do business with him, be a good person. You know what I'm saying? I got cousins and all kinds of family members I wouldn't come close to, you know what I'm saying, when it comes to business. Like, for real. Like, it's just about the person, the individual, if you ask me. That's my opinion on it.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go next to Alan. Alan, I need to know from you your thoughts on that. What do you think? Would you get into business with family or friends?
To kind of piggyback off of him, yeah. It depends on the person for sure. I did start breaking and entering with a friend in college. Things changed, plans changed. He was really busy and we ended up splitting off. So I've been through the ugly part of things too a little bit. Ended up with reconnecting with him later. He doesn't work on breaking and entering now, but I mean, later on, we've at least gotten back to speaking terms and talking, whatever. But yeah, it is a tricky situation. It really does depend on the character of the person that you're, really trying to get into business with, and it can change things because I still do work with friends right now, and it's a tough road to navigate for sure.
Okay. I'm gonna go next to Icon Verse. Icon, we're gonna go specifically to family. these are people you got to go home to. You got to still see at Thanksgiving, Christmas, all that. Is it bad business to cross and do business with your family?
Yeah, like they said, to piggyback, it depends on the person. I currently do business with my family right now. I do, I own a business with my brother. I own a business, with my best friend. So it just depends on the person. I've had many of opportunities to do business with a lot of people and always turned them down, especially with a lot of friends, because sometimes people don't understand that in friendship, there in business there is no friendship. It's strictly business, and then we can be friends after the business has been taken care of. So been working on this building for about 8 years and still with the same 3 people. So I guess it just depends on the situation.
Okay, respect that. We want to also welcome to the show Sincere Life out of the Madison area. Sincere Life, you say what's up to the people, please.
What's up, y'all? How y'all feeling, man?
What's going on, boss?
Chilling, man. My bad. I was recording a show, a podcast here on the station real quick. Yeah, just finished.
Let the people know what podcast you come from.
We was just recording a Nobody Cares podcast. It's on the Radio 22 network and everywhere else you find podcasts out there.
That's what's up. We appreciate you joining the program as well.
Sure,
All
appreciate
y'all.
We're
talking about this Joe Budden podcast. And I want to know from you, do you feel that Joe Budden was wrong to fire his guys that he co-hosts the podcast with?
All right, for that specific one, I don't think so. I don't think he was wrong for firing them. The way that everything was going down and the way that they was moving, it was just a lack of. I do feel him at fault for not giving them the proper understanding. Like they didn't understand the roles that they were playing, and to me it looked like they all thought that they were bosses, for lack of a better word. They all thought that they were owners, or at least just as much of an owner as Joe. And especially when you're dealing with friends, you should have explained all of that stuff beforehand and let everybody know exactly this is going to be the role I play, this is the role y'all play. And since he didn't do that, and it comes to this, and now he got to look, bogus, or look like it's damn he bogus for firing them. And on the basis, the surface, it looks bad. But when you've been there, like I say, I've been there since day one. It's understandable to me. I get it. The way he started it, yeah, they joined. He gave them what he feels was a decent, if not more, compensation. And the way they was moving, I don't feel he was wrong for doing what he did.
Okay. I converse. I want to know from you, you're a man that works with your own business and whatnot. Was Joe Budden, the man who started this podcast, was he in the wrong for firing his buddies, his 2 co-hosts, his friends, for doing the podcast?
I mean, again, it goes back into that business aspect of things. Like they were his business partners, or his, as they said on their response, they didn't work for him. But at the end of the day, it was his show. So with it being his show, I don't feel like he was in the wrong for letting anybody go, especially at will. You feel me? Like at the end of the day, if I don't want you in my business no longer, it doesn't. The friendship, none of that matters. I don't want you in my business anymore, and we move on from there. And now, if he withheld funds from them or anything like that, and then let them go, okay, well then they lawyer up and go after that. But outside of that, he ain't wrong for running his business how he run it.
Okay. Appreciate your thoughts on that. Frank Forbes, want to go to you next. I want to ask, we know he fired them on the show. Do you think he was wrong for firing them on the show?
Yeah. That's why.
Man, look. Me personally, fam, dude, he a wishy-washy type of dude, man. So it's what I expected. You know what I'm saying? From somebody of his caliber. You know what I'm saying? Like, he just too wishy-washy. Yeah, of course he was bogus for doing it on the show like that. You know what I'm saying? But that's what I expect from him, honestly. You know what I'm saying? He'll do something for some more publicity. You know what I'm saying? Like he that type of cat to get this kind of situation, this conversation. He the one who got this whole conversation started. He know, you know what I'm saying? That's just the kind of stuff he do. You know what I'm saying? So Yeah, he was wrong for doing it, but yeah, that's the kind of person he is, like for sure. And they definitely should have worked out all them kinks and everything before they came. You know what I'm saying? Before they worked out that situation. That's definitely what got the whole situation stewed up. Like for sure, for sure.
Okay, appreciate your thoughts on that, Frank. Okay, so Alan. With that being said, I want to know from you, what do you feel like? Do you feel like Rory and Maul were in the wrong for asking Joe to be included in the contract discussions for the show?
I think it's tricky. So I came in, started listening to the show like right around the time they had gotten their Spotify deal. So this is a couple of years ago, probably 2.5 years ago, something like that now. So I really kind of caught into them like right as things were really kind of get to another level. It seemed like at the time everybody was together. Everybody was on one, united front. Like they all worked together. I think Rory and Maul for sure should have at least been part of the contract, like negotiations to some extent. Mm-hmm. I mean, at least been consulted on things. Like we said before, I think it was kind of bogus that he like fired Rory on the show, especially because they had built up the show. Like when you have a podcast or a radio show or anything like that, it's built around the camaraderie and the atmosphere that they all create when those guys are together. That chemistry is important. And so I think that, they had worked their way into a point where they're at least in the conversation, but it probably is ultimately Joe's call at the end of the day.
Okay, fair enough. Sincere Life, I want to know the same thought from you. I want to know, do you feel like Rory and Maul should have been in on some of these conversations when it comes to the negotiations of the actual podcast contract?
I don't know, man. It's wild because I look at it like, wow, you are right, Alan. Rory and them, they did bring the chemistry and they did help build it up. And so you would think that they would be a part of the contracts, or at the very least consulted or asked what they want to do. But then when I think that, I'm like, if I'm Joe, I will let them do that and let them be a part of it and everything, and they can know what's going on. But I'm still ultimately going to make all the decisions. So even if you do have a question or you want to do it, if I don't want to do it, then I'm not going to do it. And just me being, I'm talking about a Joe Budden fan since the Joe Budden first debut album,
right?
He probably look at it like, I'm not even finna consider, because I'm gonna do what I want to do anyway. If y'all trust me, which he always reiterated, y'all down for the ride, y'all trust me, y'all know I got y'all best interest, y'all here, we good, then I'm gonna make the decisions and we gonna be good. I'm gonna get us the deal that's gonna be right for him. And to his credit, when they did go through deals and they did discuss it and they break it down and he'll come down and give it to him, he did explain to them, from my understanding, they even agree, he did explain to them why these deals wouldn't work, why they wasn't good to take at the time. So it seemed to me that, like you say, they were all good, and now all of a sudden they think they owed money, and yeah, now we here.
Okay, fair enough. I appreciate the thoughts on that. Icon.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you the similar question here. All right, so you own a studio, correct?
Correct.
All right, so you started this and you ran everything, right? You built it up to where it is right now.
Correct.
Say a person like myself comes in, a friend of yours that comes in, and I'm bringing in industry people. I'm bringing in big money to your stuff, and now your studio now has more of a name than it has at this moment, and you become the #1 studio ever, right? Do I not have some pull to be able be in these conversations of where that studio should be able to go next, in your opinion?
I mean, if we didn't contract anything for you to have that power, then no. But if you and I mean, it's all about the open lines of communication. You could have done the world for me, but at the end of the day, the business is still the business. And what you've done is, I mean, that's awesome. That's great. If you're entering a position, that's the role you should take to help grow the business. But at the end of the day, for the needs the business, yeah, I can inform you about everything that's going on, but at the end of the day, it's still my call. And while yes, you did all those things, and that's great, you know, I can't. Only thing I see that Joe Budden did wrong, bro, was he said it on the actual show. But outside of that, I don't see what he did actually wrong in business. You have you're Walmart and you have a store manager who is underperformed or whatever it is. It's your choice to let that person go. So at the end of the day, that all the extra when it comes to, hey, we felt like we were unjustly paid or et cetera, that's fine. That's now for you to figure out with your lawyers and et cetera to try to combat him with that. Because in the beginning, when everything was, good, that was your opportunity to make sure that your ducks were in a row, your contracting and et cetera was in a row. And those open lines of communication were there. You waited until things got bad on both accords, and then now you were upset. And it can't work like that. So at the end of the day, this is however it was set up in the beginning is how it is. And that's Joe Budden was the one that was in power, and it ended that way too. And that's not Joe Budden's fault. That's their fault. They should have been better businessmen.
Okay, fair enough. Frank Forbes, going along with that same conversation, I want to know from you, is it wrong to expect partnership stake in a business that you haven't started?
No, it ain't wrong. You say, is it wrong to accept partnerships?
Okay, so we all know Joe started this podcast, right?
Yeah.
He was the one started it. But like the example I just gave to Icon, Icon started this studio, but if I come in and I bring it to where it is,
it ain't. No.
Should I not be able to expect some kind of stake in the business at that point?
You really shouldn't, depending on the situation, depending on where y'all started it off at. Like the contract, if they had a contract, that's where it should stand. Like obviously that's where he, like Verse said, that's where he put him to be. You know what I'm saying? That's his job to get the studio to where it's at. So if that's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? You ain't entitled to nothing more. You know what I'm saying? You really not. You know what I'm saying? If I want to be a good person and give you more, that's on me. You know what I'm saying? Like me personally, I would do that. That's me, but everybody ain't like that. You know what I'm saying? So if Joe want to be on that, he on that. That's just
it's like,
you know what I'm saying? That's just what it is. You know what I'm saying?
I got an example.
Go ahead for me, Icon.
Huh?
Go ahead.
I got an example for you, Mizzle. So like I spent $300,000 on my building. You feel me?
Right.
Like hardcore cash up front. So if I spent that on my business and you just came and worked and you brought resources and etc. But I need to recoup everything that I spent first before you come to the table to talk about we're going to be equal partners or etc. Like how we set it up. I mean, like if I brought you on and I said, hey, I need you to join the business. This is what I need from you for the business, and this is your percentage or whatever, because they got paid off a percent. That's their issue. That they should have came back to the table and revisited on changing that percentage or whatever they felt. If they felt like they were bringing more to the business at that time, they didn't do that, bro. And they didn't do that because of friendship. And again, there's no friendship in business, and that's why it's there and it's not his.
See, that's the point. That's a good point right there. Sincere Life. That's where I was going to go next. The problem is, as he said, it's a foggy situation because they boys. So they didn't get into all that contract talk, right? Because they boys, they felt like we boys, we'll work that out later. We ain't got to work all that out right away. Do you feel like that's where everything got lost, in your opinion, Sincere Life?
That's definitely where everything got lost. And with you saying that, they the ones that came wanting the contract. Like if you listen to a couple podcasts, I believe it was 2 or 3 podcasts ago. They do 2 a week now, and I'll be counting about a week, so I don't know the exact number. But he said that nobody there really got a contract. They the ones that came to him and said, we want a contract, we want something, we want. So they started getting on business stuff with him a while ago. And they've been wanting an accountant for, 2 years, 3 years or whatever. But they were still coming to work. So I think that's definitely where everything went wrong. Like I was saying, if you establish this up front, and he probably did tell them the same thing, same way he told Parks and Corey and everybody else that's there, Savon and everybody, this the mission, this what we doing, as long as you trust me, I got your back. We don't really need no contract. He's been working with Ian without a contract. Like, he don't like, if you don't know Joe, he don't like contracts because he's scared to get fucked over again. So he don't want to do that. So he don't want to sign nothing, put nothing on paper, relinquish nothing he don't have to relinquish. And that's just him. And he not finna do that for no friends or anything. Back to what Icon was saying, like, that's the business. Like, I can't start working for Walmart, be the best customer there, Woodman's, wherever I go, be the best customer, bring everything, and then 10, 20 years later want a piece of the company. I get a 401k, a percentage, I get the bonuses they decide to give me, like Frank was saying, but that's about it. That's on them if they want to be nice and do extra. And if, to my understanding with Joe, he did that. He overpaid him. So I don't, yeah.
I mean, I think Rory had already it sounds like from what we've been able to hear that Rory has been the main issue. They did a rebuttal video. Joe even explained on the podcast that basically like Rory had been in emails, trying to get the accounting, or maybe it was in Rory's response. He had said that for years he had been in emails trying to get some accounting from them, and they basically got an Excel spreadsheet back, which counts, it's the books. But like Rory had kind of already known this because he was part of Duce Palooza with some friends, and they run those parties and those concerts, and he had said on the show before that even though it's his friends, they've got contracts. So Rory should have known that like this was possible. You know what I mean? Like he should have known that that was at least available for Joe to take advantage of that sort of thing. I don't necessarily think that it's expected of like, to have a small ownership stake or whatever they had. But I think the nature of a podcast is different from like the nature of a Walmart or studio or whatever else we've been talking about.
Sure.
Because they did really build this, the four of them helped bring that to a new level. But ultimately, I mean, it's hard. Like I think when I look back at that situation, I think nobody was completely in the right.
Yeah,
fair enough.
And I might be a little biased, man, because I was gonna say I get what they did and what they brought, but man, I'm speaking for the Joe Vengeance here. We watch for Joe, man. I don't care who you put Joe next to. I like Ice and Ish. I like I don't like Johnny Blaze. I don't like the last one, but like it's whoever Joe next to, whoever he talked to, I'm gonna wanna, see at least. I'm gonna check it out. So if he decides to do a podcast with somebody else, I'm gonna, check it out. I did see that too, Bill. Rory was episode 1. The email was in his SoundCloud. I get that and all of that too. Yeah. But he didn't show it for like episode 7 to get on.
We appreciate you, Val, for commenting there. He's dead on right about he was there day one.
And he right about that too. Joe is a bad leader. I will say
I got
Joe.
I would agree
Joe
with that.
be tripping, man. Joe be on some BS. I'm not even going front, fam.
Speak on it, Frank.
Be tripping.
Speak on it, Frank.
I agree with all that.
Fam is a wild. He just, man. Just look at him on Love and Hip Hop, man. He be on BS.
See, there we go. Bringing all the other stuff.
I see what I'm saying.
Icon.
I agree with all of that, bro. But see, like,
bro, be tripping.
See, I agree with all that, but my question for Alan is that like
the business is right though. The business is right though. You know what I'm saying?
You're right.
But he be tripping.
Hey, they knew that
what
going
in.
Leopard don't change their spots overnight, bro.
Exactly.
They knew that. They know how he is, bro. He been there since the industry.
Like what you expect? You know what I'm saying? He lined all his ducks up right in a row.
It's like this how I feel. Like Alan has worked his ass off to build Breaking and Entering, right? He's been working on that. That's probably been his baby. He probably that's like what he do. That's his lifeline, right? So then Icon Verse, who I think I'm a kind of popular guy. You know what I'm saying? And I join his situation, and I bring extra resources, etc. I make his show bigger than what it was originally. And you know what? He and I have a falling out, and he fires me. I can't be upset. You know what I'm saying? Like that's business. If I didn't handle what I was supposed to do on my end, and do you want to give me your company? You feel me? Like, no, you don't. That's your baby, and that's what you put your efforts into. So in business, sorry, bro, they didn't handle what they were supposed to do on their end.
That was on them. That was on them.
And all of that, bro. That's
Right.
hoopla. At the end of the day, that means nothing, bro. If they sent him the books, they sent him the books. Whatever he did with that information, that was on him, bro. He still knew, and he still accepted whatever it is that they gave him. So when the situation soured, now he want to come back, bro, like that, and with issues. Like, bro, you knew this going in, bro. You knew this.
Let me ask you this though, Icon. We know this is a little bit different because this is a conversation also about friendship. And that being that it's a conversation about friendship, should Joe have shown them the financial records that they asked for?
No.
After the fact.
No.
Do you think that he had any obligation to show them any of that financial records?
No. He needs to give them is their percentage that he agreed to them with.
That's really not their business.
Facts.
Okay.
And he just got to show them the profit.
Okay, so
podcast,
Frank,
not from Joe Budden.
Okay, but Frank, this is also the situation. You know, as I said, they went into it all as boys, right? To begin with. But then if I'm Rory and Ma, I'm looking at it like, okay, we are boys. But once you come at me and feel like it ain't a boy situation, and it's like, I think they kind of took it as like, okay, well, now you got to pay me. So now you have to pay me.
You start chopping up. You start chopping up.
Okay, so now
up on me. I'm sorry.
Okay, so now you have to pay me. So now that you have to pay me, I need my percentage. And even though maybe they come in on the late bus as far as asking for the percentage, they said we need the numbers right. So now they got their attorneys and all their people involved. And that's when Joe, in my opinion, caught feelings and was like, you know, we supposed to be boys and now you bringing your people at me. So now he took it offense. And in my opinion, I'm looking at it like, does he have any obligation to have to show the numbers as their boy? Would it just been better off if him just to show the financial records and be like, yo, this is what it is. You know, y'all thinking it's something different. This is really what it is. And you got your percentage.
That would have been the best route, but I think Rory even said that Joe, he had a conversation with Joe or something like that, and Joe told him that's not your business.
Right.
If I don't,
That was Maul.
Am I tripping?
Yeah, he said the whole
told
podcast
Maul
was
that's
none
not
of
his
Maul's
business.
business.
He told Maul that's none of your business, and that's what Maul said. He was like, "Nah, I see where we at," or some shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
That's
bro, that's what it been. You know what I'm saying? That's what it been, bro. He it's some asshole shit, but it's real. Excuse my language. You know what I'm saying?
I think
You know what I'm saying? It's a jerk move, but it's real. It's not none of your business, fam. It's really not. I don't have to show you my books. That's like me working for a warehouse. You know what I'm saying? Go upstairs to the office, to HR, like, show me the books. They're gonna be like, what?
But it's different though, right, Alan? Because they're boys.
I think the percentage of it is different though, because like
go ahead, Alan.
I think
ain't no business, ain't no business and friendship, ain't no friendship in business though, right?
We feel you though, Frank. Go ahead, Alan.
Ain't no
I
friendship
think
in
that
business.
you know, this kind of goes back to like again the dynamic of it, but I mean, I think that the smart move would have been for Joe to show them the records for just the Joe Budden podcast. Now he's also head of creator equity at Betrayal. That's part of the deal that they just signed. He doesn't have to show those financial records to people. But if they felt entitled to being as big of a part of the show as they were, it's in the interest of Joe as a boss to show that to these people. Now, if this is like a normal manager, if it's a normal employee, something like that, like he doesn't necessarily need to show those records to Savon or somebody that, or Screen Man or somebody else that's like on the side and just works on the show. They're technically like an employee or a contractor or however you want to look at them. But if they're on-air talent, and it is in your best interest to keep the on-air talent happy or to keep them at least appeased enough, because that's going to be your product, right? Ultimately. So if I'm Rory and Maul, of course I'm going to come into the show and look like real pissed off because, you know, why should I give you content if you're going to like not show me what it's, you know, what the back end of it is, what it's earning. But he doesn't have to show him the books for everything. It would have been smart if Joe would have showed him just the books from the show.
Show him something. You know what I'm saying?
I agree with that because, okay, so Frank, I'm going to come back to you with this. there was a conversation. I think one of the basketball players, Gilbert Arenas, put out a conversation where he was talking about LeBron James. And he said he watched how LeBron dealt with the Cleveland Cavaliers when he played on the team. And for most of the game, early part of the game, he saw that LeBron was distributing the ball a lot and getting it to his players and whatnot and putting them in positions where they could score easily, which got them engaged into the game, right? Later on in the game, when it's winning time, LeBron took over and, was the hero of the game. But he said, in his opinion, LeBron could have been doing that from the jump. Part of the thing of being a leader in the situation is getting your guys being included into the situation is what I would feel in that situation. So like Alan's saying, to be able to show them the records, do you have to, like I said, in business, do you have to show them? No, you don't have to show them. But don't you feel like it would have been the right move to do with your boys in that situation to keep them included in the situation and keep them engaged in the game to be able to just give them a little something?
Keep going. Yeah. He probably should have did that.
And like we've been saying too, like
but them checks might be big though. He probably don't want them to see them checks. You know what I'm saying? He probably really want to keep that money. Like, man, like I ain't showing y'all this, man. You know what I mean? Like, nah, bro, I ain't showing y'all this. Then y'all niggas really gonna be mad. You know what I'm saying?
Then they gonna start thinking that you wouldn't have got Patreon without me. I want a piece of that. You wouldn't have got this without the podcast. I want a piece of that. When they don't understand that it was the other way around. Joe been getting stuff. The podcast is one of the things that he got. When he was on the podcast, he started Everyday Struggle. When he was on the podcast, he had the pull up. He had State of the Culture. Like, he was getting checks still, period. Love and Hip Hop even.
Rory was trying to kill him too, acting like it was really all them though. You know what I'm saying? He was like, man, he said he pulled up to a city. You know what I'm saying? And Joe was like, man, we got these mugs wrapped around the corner or something. He said, I got them wrapped around the corner. You know what I'm saying? That
was Maul. That was Maul talking that spike.
Not Rory, my bad.
Maul because Maul be wilding. He was really wilding on that episode.
He said, man, like we didn't we came and did shows here with you before. You didn't have them around the corner like this when you came and did a show by yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and that's what tripped me out about Maul, because Maul will be like, you didn't do that by yourself. You didn't do that by yourself. But it's like, that was when I was a rapper. I never claimed to get the Joe Budden podcast from the rapper. Did you not forget, like I said, all the other stuff I've done? I was on Love and Hip Hop. You weren't there with me in Love and Hip Hop. Like, what is he talking about?
Joe definitely got that boy popping.
Yeah.
He got that boy popping for sure.
And they should get a percentage. They should definitely get a percentage and get a piece, but they just don't. They don't get to sit in those owners' meetings.
Man,
I'm sorry.
I brought you on the show.
And I hope we later talk. I'm not bringing it up, but I hope we later talk about the reason why they did all of this too, because it ain't nothing but some internet insecurity.
Okay, so I want to go maybe a little bit there. Part of the thing that I felt like they kind of, that kind of flipped all this, and we've seen this in so many different situations. I feel like it was more of a conversation of respect when they talk about your boys. It was more about respect. And, that being said, I'm going to ask you, Sincere Life, is it wrong to boss your employees around if they're your friends? They had a lot of problem with the way, the tone and the way that Joe talked to them.
See, that goes hand in hand, because as the boss, you shouldn't be talking disrespectful to any employees, really, whether they're your friend or not. But as your friend, if I've known you, like I say, I've known you, and I know Rory is the least amount of years, but if I known you, like I say, I know you, and I know that's how you are, and I chose to still be your friend and be around you, I'm at some point okay with it. I might not be okay with this when people seeing it. I might not be okay with this in public. That's when you might get some pushback from me being like, hey, bro, calm down, relax with that. But when we talking and we chilling and we hanging out, it's whatever, because I know this is you. I'm not taking that personal. That's what I was saying with the internet insecurity. Like, when other people start seeing it and chiming in, and you looking like this, and you start believing that that's how you being perceived. Now you don't want that. Now it's not the same between you and your guy or whatever. But yeah, it's definitely you shouldn't be yelling at or bossing around or demeaning any employees you got, and really, especially if they your friends. But your friends also got to know that as the boss. And I've dated my manager. Like, she wasn't my manager when we dated. She eventually became my manager, but it's still that respect of when we at work, I'm the employee and you up there. I never like disrespected that or expected special treatment or stuff like that. So it's just one of those things that both parties got to understand exactly what the dynamic is. And if y'all don't, and you expecting something, or you want to give more, or whatever the case, it's going to be bad.
Absolutely.
Okay.
To go off of that real quick.
Go ahead.
As somebody that has bossed around my friends, but like not in a terrible way. It's been, I think communication is everything, and how you communicate to somebody is super important. So like in these situations where I was bossing around friends, it was literally just, we were running a show. Everybody knows, I'm the person putting on the show. If I need you to do something, I need you to go do it, kind of thing, right? But there's still that respect at the end of the day. Like, I'm not going to ask somebody to do something that I wouldn't do myself. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I think where we run into that issue with the podcast here is Joe didn't seem like he really wanted to communicate in a way that was, even Park said at one point that Joe has a tendency to say the absolute worst thing and make things 10,000 times worse. And that's kind of what happened, it sounds like, from, what we're allowed to hear as listeners. We don't know what really went on behind the scenes. But yeah, I can see, like, you have to know that dynamic is there of the, like, this is the person that has the final say. This is the person that, technically works under them, whatever that dynamic might be. So everything we've said, like, we should say, Joe Budden is the person that's going to put the, final stamp of approval on anything, and can yes or no, whatever. It's his show. But you have to understand that dynamic. And then if you're Joe, you have to communicate that properly to the people that are working with you, under you, however you want to phrase it.
I feel you.
I agree with that.
Okay. So, but Icon, we've seen this situation play out so many different times. I mean, I could go all the way back to Eazy-E and NWA, right? With Jerry Heller. We've seen this situation where, the business gets messed up because of the friendship and whatnot. And, I guess what I'm looking at is, how can we avoid these financial conflicts with ventures with our friends that we take on?
By having communication, man, just being attentive to the issue of any issues that could arise, by picking friends who are good business men and women, who understand business and who can represent themselves in their best light. I have my best interest, and I want to have my friend's best interest, but I can't run the business, have my best interest and theirs, and etc. We need to have that first initial meeting, and we need to lay everything out and communicate, like, this is what I'm looking for. This is what I'm looking for. This is the type of person I want to bring on, and etc. And I need you as the person that's potentially going to join me and say, hey, when I'm joining you, this is what I want from you. I want this from your entity. Okay, now we both agree upon it, and now we build upon it. And if we maybe in 2 years we revisit this conversation or etc., we need to work all that out so that way the show doesn't get big and then all of a sudden it's like, I want everything that you get. Like, come on, bro. I'm like, no, you're not getting that. Like, I brought you on, I gave you the percentage that you said you wanted, and you accepted. You never complained about it. And how I talk, you already know this is how I communicate anyway. You already know I didn't want to sign contracts with you. You already know that I'm a jerk, etc. You know that about me. That's how I am. It's your choice to work with me. We're friends, right? Truly, you know that if we're friends, that I don't act like this, that I act like this on a regular basis. Come on, bro. So y'all know how I am already. So it's like, if you accepted to join, then that was on you, bro. And this is the way I do business. So if you don't like the way I do business, then go do business somewhere else. And I'll bring on people that will accept the way I do business. It's that simple for me.
I mean, fair enough. I mean, he ain't lying. We did see this so many times with Joe, be it his own rap group, his love and hip hop relationships. I mean,
me personally, I will never go into business with him ever.
His former podcast.
He's disrespectful.
Yeah, we've seen this so many times, and I think that's part of the play. I think is that he's got a history this same situation. So I gotta agree with that, Icon.
That's
Sincere
why
life.
I think and be like he's not a good leader and all of that, but he's not wrong in this situation. But
Okay.
Right.
that doesn't. I'm not saying like, oh man, he was doing everything right. Or, no, definitely
I'm
didn't have.
Yeah,
a
I feel like
I'm sure he wasn't.
Go
yeah,
ahead,
I feel like everybody is not 100% in the right on this. Rory and Mal definitely should have been more prepared. There should have been something formal there. Joe, on the other hand, definitely should have been able to like know the dynamic, understand the situation, and not let his emotions get in the way. Because I definitely think that there's something with him that he never takes accountability for something. You know,
No.
like you got to have that. You got to be able to own it when it's something like that. And I think
he gets real emotional too, to your emotional point. Like in business with emotions, like that's what firing him on air and then coming back the next episode and apologizing. You was emotional, but business smart, I got to keep that. No pun intended. I got to keep that part there, and then I'll address that privately. Let me be professional to some degree, even if it is podcasting and we just talking with our friends. To some degree, you got to keep professionalism.
But everybody knew that in the situation. They know how.
Oh yeah.
They knew it.
I'm not saying anybody was like I said, nobody was 100% right, nobody was 100% wrong, but all of the wrong things seemed to hit at the exact same time and just made things go terrible, you know?
Okay, so I want to check in the last thing here. I want to check in. There was the last piece of the puzzle was the conversation about the people who did stay on the podcast, being Parks and the rest of the producers and whatnot. There was a lot of conversation about, that they were just deriding, and that's why they staying on with Joe Budden, despite knowing how he really is and how he talked to people and whatnot. So I want to know from you, Alan. I want to know from you, is it betrayal to protect your job over your friendship or family?
Ooh, that's a tough one. At the end of the day, I mean, you know the situation for you as somebody that works under, like let's say if you're Parks, if you're Stevan, Screamman, all those dudes, their biggest check is probably coming, maybe not Parks, but the other ones, their biggest check is coming from the Joe Budden Network. So they got to know like money's good, and it sounds like there's plenty of money to go around. So I don't think it's necessarily betrayal. I think the way that Parks is playing it, it seems like he, has shared at least the sentiment of like still friends with Paul, still friends with Rory, even if they don't want to be friends right now. And I think he's playing it the best out of this. But at the same time, like you got to know, like, money is money. Sometimes, if you're in a situation where you need it for whatever your situation is, your living situation, your bills, whatever, like money is money. And if you can't really put your income to a complete stop over somebody else's decision.
Right. I feel you on that. I kind of want to know the same thing from you. At the end of the day, is it betrayal to ride over your job, over your homies?
I don't feel like that. Because it's business and we're at work, and that has nothing to do with our friendship. And I just feel like the lines keep getting blurred. And at the end of the day, like we're friends when we're not on the show and we're not focused on the show. And because we're focused on the show and et cetera, that I feel like that's what would take it to say, no, it's not betrayal. If it was something that he did in as a friend, then that would give this type of impact, have this type of impact, and yeah, he would have betrayed, but not from a business aspect. I'm sorry, I don't see the betrayal. I see that he decided he didn't want them anymore.
Okay, fair enough. Frank Forbes, the last piece of that puzzle also, I mean, to wrap this whole thing up, is basically the word friendship. I think that part gets skewed a little bit in this whole play too. So my question to you is, are coworkers and friends the same thing?
No, they're not.
Can you explain a little bit more?
They definitely not the same thing, because hell, I didn't work for companies where I didn't have some coworkers who I definitely wasn't cool with. I wanted to slap more than a handful of them. You know what I'm saying? And that's just being honest, man. They definitely not the same thing. Hell no. It's coworkers and friends the same? No.
And we've worked together.
Hell yeah. For sure. For people that can't choose they coworkers, no. that is not, nah.
Okay. All right, so sincere life. You know, we see it where a lot of times people will hang out with people that you work with, right? You might.
Oh, but I got
after the job spot, you might go out and hang out at the bar or whatnot.
Yeah,
Do you consider them friends?
I got a couple coworkers who like my brothers now, though. You know what I'm saying? Like people I just started at my at my old job.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't run across some family. You know what I'm saying? Like for sure. At a gig, but that ain't the case in every situation though.
Okay, this is interesting. But now, so if you start another job, are they still your people?
Yeah, I just started another job and they still my people. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
You know, my own job, you know what I'm saying? Like I do my own thing, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, we still like I got a partner, like I got a couple partners from work. Definitely one I talk to from my old job, I talk to every day, consistently, for sure. Like he like my brother. Like for real. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so I think Joe kind of felt like there's a difference between coworkers and friends, and where they maybe didn't see it that way. So my question in sincere life, is there a difference between coworkers and friendship in your opinion?
Definitely. Not saying that you can't become friends with people that you work with or that, you know, you at your job and everything and all of that. But that's when they become friends and they not essentially coworkers no more. Now you're just working with your friend.
Right.
So like, but the way this situation or the way that applies to like this situation is like, you know, Joe, they're not co-workers, they employees. So, it's like they friends too. They are friends.
Right.
But my friends happen to be my employees. And that fucking internet, I mean, my bad for cursing. I'm sorry. That internet and academics had them feeling away about being employees to their friend. That's what it is. And I get it, because when I was younger, that's the thing that messed me up about them, is because they, my age, in their 40s, late 30s, right? Mm-hmm. When I was in my 20s doing the rap thing, that was my problem. My friend who I started with wanted to be CEO. And I'm like, you can't be my boss, you my friend. Right. But I'm 19, 20 at that time. You know, now I wish I would have that umph and that angst and that ready to go right now with him ready to go. And what you think I'll be caring about the CEO title before we even got to some money? Right. I was tripping over stupid stuff. And it's like, if they getting overpaid, they get into the money, they get into the thing. Y'all, what are you tripping on? Because y'all hearing academics tease y'all about being the employees. So now y'all want to come to him and say, can we get some ownership? I want some ownership so they can stop calling us employees and we can be bosses. Like, get out of here, man. You knew what you, just like Icon said, man, you knew what you signed up for. You signed this contract. Everything was fine until your ego came into play. And it might not have helped that you see me out here living lavishly with my extra deals, taking trips and flying and hosting these meals, hosting them tiny dish meals, them tiny plate meals. That's how you know it costs a lot of money. Like, yeah, I'm sure that didn't help.
The shrimp, the one shrimp, you know what I'm saying? The one shrimp with a piece of the one shrimp with a piece of
the little lettuce on it.
With a garnish on there, yeah.
With a piece of lettuce, you know what I'm saying? Like, man, come on. And one tomato ball, you know what I'm saying, with a little drizzle on it. You know what I'm saying?
He got a girlfriend out of state. How you afford a girlfriend out of state? An Instagram model at that? Nah, bro, you doing too much.
Social distancing. So I want to thank everybody that came to join the program today. Once again, out of the Madison area, we got the homie Sincere Life. Can you let the people know what you've been working on, Sincere?
Oh man, just comedy, man. Mainly, I do a lot of comedy at Comedy on State out here in Madison. If you're there on a Wednesday, you'll probably see me go up. And whenever they have me on the weekends and stuff, I got shows coming up. I'm rapping again. My guy, my manager, Mark Shaw, got me out of retirement. So I'm gonna be performing August 13th. That's a Saturday. It's the first hip hop show back in Madison, and it's at the High Noon. And just more shows. I got comedy shows in June and July in Milwaukee. But yeah, that's about it. Find me on Instagram, Sincere Life, and check out the podcast. Nobody Cares podcast. Anywhere you buy podcast, download podcast, stream podcast. Just search Radio 22. Nobody Cares.
That's what's up. We appreciate you joining the program, Craig.
Appreciate you, man.
Also on the line, we got the homie out of the Milwaukee area, Converse. We want to thank him for joining the program. Let Icon please let the people know what you've been working on, bro.
I actually just dropped an album called The Staple. It's on all music platforms. Go check that out. Just shot another video, so that'll be out in a couple weeks. Got a video that I shot a few months ago that just dropped. That's out. My grand opening for my recording studio is going to be in July. So I got a lot going on right now. So yeah, you can find me at on IG at I am Converse, Facebook as well, Twitter, same thing.
Man, look this man up. If you doing music in the Milwaukee area, outside the Milwaukee area, hit this man up. He's doing big things. Appreciate you joining the program.
Yeah.
Also on the program, we got the homie Frank Forbes.
What
let the people know what you've been working on as well.
Just production, and more production, man. Just producing. I got a big contest coming up. You know what I'm saying? I don't really want to get too in depth about it, but it's gonna be a big contest. It's gonna be something at a national stage. So people tune in for that for sure. And you can catch me on my Instagram at Frank Forbes with a Z 84. You know what I'm saying? Frank Forbes with a Z 84. Last thing, and the last thing, I don't know if y'all heard of Rollo from Van Boom. He just dropped a single. Was it probably like a month ago or something like that with like the Reds to Shine I had produced. That's pretty dope. Go check that out.
Okay.
Go check that out.
Doing big things, Frank.
The contest gonna be crazy. So everybody just tune in, get ready for that, and really tap in with me. And like, I hope the city can come together and really like indulge in it, like for real. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I want everybody to come together. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, everybody just come together and just do. You know what I'm saying? I just want everybody to get involved in something. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's gonna be big. Like, it's gonna be something that everybody really can. Somebody can win real good off of. You know what I'm saying? Like, so just stay tapped in. For sure.
That's what's up. We appreciate you joining the program, Frank.
Oh, I appreciate you, man. Thanks for asking. Thanks for having me. Thanks for the invite. I appreciate it.
Most up. And last but not least, we got the homie Alan Hallis on the line. Can you let the people know what you've been working on?
Well, now I'm entering Frank's contest for sure. We got a Breaking and Entering gives you music from independent artists every single day. We specialize in the Milwaukee area, but we do cover from all over the world. We have Breaking and Entering Radio, which airs on Radio 22 Sunday nights from 7 to 9 p.m. And then just a lot of content. We have a lot of things happening. We got our first day party that we are doing now that we can have shows and events again. We got a couple DJs coming through to the backyard in Milwaukee from 3 to 7 on Saturday, this upcoming Saturday. So events, new music. We got content on top of content on top of content. We have a lot of stuff on our Twitch channel now. Find us all over the place, but breakingandentering.net, Instagram, and Facebook are the main spots. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate you. Thank you, Alan. Thank you so much for joining the program. And we thank you too at home for tuning in. All of you that left comments, we appreciate you for bringing them comments as well. Some of those, I caught a couple chuckles from some of the Joe Budden comments there. I saw that. And, we appreciate everybody from tuning in as well. Once again, I'm your boy, Mizzle Jizzle. You've been watching Radio 22's Talk 22. Until next time, y'all. Peace.